Today we're going to talk about the Church of Scientology. You're going to want to stay tuned for this. But first, this is People of the Free Gift, where we ground believers in their identity in Christ and equip them to reach those caught in religion. We're glad you joined us. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and click right down there on that watermark to subscribe at any time during this video. And you're going to want to enable notifications. And we post about cults at least once a week, and sometimes much more than that. We have lots of other great content. And so let's go ahead and jump right in. And the most entertaining part, the backstory of humanity. Just stay tuned. Once upon a time, 75 million years ago, there was an alien galactic ruler named Xenu. Xenu was in charge of all the planets in this part of the galaxy, including our planet Earth, except in those days it was called Tejiak. Now Xenu had a problem. All of the 76 planets he controlled were overpopulated. Each planet had an average 178 billion people. He wanted to get rid of all the overpopulation, so he had a plan. Xenu took over complete control with the help of renegades to defeat the good people and the loyal officers. Then, with the help of psychiatrists, he called in billions of people for income tax inspections, where they were instead given injections of alcohol and glycol mixed to paralyze them. Then they were put into space planes that looked exactly like DC-8s, except they had rocket motors instead of propellers. These space planes flew to Earth, where they paralyzed people, were stacked around the bases of volcanoes, and there were hundreds of billions. When they finished stacking them, then H-bombs were lowered into the volcanoes. Xenu then detonated all the H-bombs at the same time, and everyone was killed. The story doesn't end there. Since everyone is a soul called a Thetan in this story, then they had to trick the souls into not coming back again. While the hundreds of billions of souls were being blown around by the nuclear winds, he had a special electronic traps that caught all the souls in the electronic beams. I guess he called Ghostbusters. These electronic beams were like sticky flypaper. After he had captured all these souls, he had them packed into boxes and taken to a few huge cinemas. There, all the souls had to spend days watching special 3D motion pictures that told them what life should be like, and in many confusing things. In this picture, they were shown false pictures and told they were God, the devil, and Christ. In this story, the process is called implanting. When the films ended and the souls left the cinema, these souls started to stick together. Since they had all seen the same film, they thought they were all the same people. They clustered in groups of a few thousand. Now, because there were only a few living bodies left, they stayed as clusters and inhabited these bodies. As for Xenu, the loyal officers finally overthrew him, and they locked him away in a mountain on one of the planets. He's kept in by a force field, powered by an eternal battery, and Xenu is still alive today. Are we talking about Marvel? Infinity War? Are we talking about Lord of the Rings? No, we are talking about the backstory of humanity told to Scientologists to reach a certain point in which they handcuff a briefcase to you and you unlock the contents of that briefcase, and in that you are told this very story. Welcome to Scientology. So they definitely exhibit the signs of a cult. If any of the groups that we talk about, people would say, yep, that's a cult, it would be Scientology. It's a religion for movie stars. And I said on my You Might Be a Cult if your religion has a special wing, especially for celebrities, well, then you might be in a cult. I don't think that Jesus would have been very fond of just gathering the celebrities of his day and giving them a special center, giving them the spotlight, and saying, hey, you guys are going to be my main spokesman to get people in the door. In their early days, they were known for something called steamrolling. They are the only group that successfully took on the IRS and won. That's why they're a nonprofit religion to this day. But ironically, it was South Park, the animated series, that they did a special on Scientology, and at the end of it, they said, so sue us. And Scientology did nothing. And after that, it kind of opened the floodgates for those who are in ministries like mine, who are able to talk out. Ex-members were able to finally speak out. And so you got L. Ron Hubbard, who started this. Not surprisingly, he was a science fiction writer before he came up with this religion, which he actually initially tried to pass off as science. It was supposed to be like a different form of psychology, but it was never acknowledged as science. In fact, after they went the nonprofit, the religious route, then they were told that they could not call their e-meters, which we're going to get to in a second, scientific devices, because so now they call them religious artifacts because there was nothing scientific about it. But he was born in 1911, grew up in the 30s and 40s, and he had some famous friends like Aleister Crowley. That name might ring a bell to you. But he tried to pass it off as psychiatry, like I said, didn't fly. But he is quoted actually in a newspaper article as saying that the fastest way one can get $1 million is to start their own religion. And guess what? The next year, Scientology was born. And Dianetics, his classic work, then took the helm as their Bible, so to speak, on how to practice Scientology. So we already heard a little bit of what they believe. They don't think very highly of God. They don't think very highly of Jesus. But they do, like every cult, they have a symbol that very much resembles a cross, and you can see it in there, in their symbolism. And so Scientology, the way it works is that they grab people in off the street. Hey, you want a free review? You want some help with life? You want to come to the seminar kind of thing? And then once they're in, they give them a free auditing session. And or they might just invite them to an auditing session. And the way that it works is that up and up you go, the more money it's going to cost you. And what you're doing in these auditing sessions, this is where those e-meters I was talking about, where your auditor will then run an e-meter on you and they will find engrams. This is kind of what they call sin. It is these faults that are holding you, your real self. You are a thetan, you are divine, and what is holding you back are these engrams, which are really different traumatic events. And once you have worked your way past those things, then you can expect to start to have special powers. And in fact, it's not too sarcastic to describe them as, well, kind of like X-Men. And, Dr. Xavier and his school of, and Wolverine over here, and, otherwise known as John Travolta. And, okay, I'm going a little bit off the board here. But you have an engram, and so they work you through this engram to rid you of this. And so as you get rid of these engrams, you get higher and higher up the chain. And the higher and higher up the chain you get, the more information you get, the more money you must pay. That's why they kind of go after the bigwigs and the celebrities over here. And matter, energy, and matter, energy, space, and time they refer to as MEST. Okay, it's an acronym, and mankind is an immortal being called the Thetan, and these Thetans are not originally from Earth. They are trapped by this MEST. Okay, and if they can rid themselves of this MEST and of these engrams, then they become divine. The divine beings that they are no longer trapped and bound, and so then they can realize the divinity within them. Reincarnation is kind of playing a factor in here. And so, now, terminology-wise, auditing is the session I talked about. Below is to leave Scientology. Clear is when all engrams have been successfully removed. Dianetics is, of course, that first book, their kind of Bible, their text that explains the process. Disconnection, severing ties with all friends and family. It sounds like mind control. E-meter is the device that they devised in the 1940s. And it was supposed to be scientific, but it's not really. Engrams, of course, are their little sins, their traumas that you get rid of. Fair game, L. Ron Hubbard's prescribed method of retaliation against those who oppose or speak negatively of Scientology. Operating Thetan is a Scientologist who has reached the second level in Scientology's version of salvation. There are 8 sub-levels which gradually reveal the deepest secrets of the church, including the creation story that I told you for free. Reactive mind, the subconscious half of the human mind containing a person's involuntary impulses. The goal of auditing is to clear the engrams that operate the reactive mind, allowing the analytic mind to function fully. Okay, so we didn't get into that. The analytic mind is the good part of your mind, the thinking, logical, focused part of your mind. And you have the reactive mind, which you could call like the emotions, the feelings, and we react because of these engrams to things, and we got to get rid of the reactive mind so we can get function using only the analytic mind. Suppress a person, anybody at odds with or actively opposing Scientology. Phaeton, invisible part of a human being similar to a soul and spirit in other religions. And Xenu, the dictator of a galactic confederacy who brought billions of people to Earth and massacred them with hydrogen bombs 75 trillion years ago. The story of Xenu is revealed in Operating Phaeton Level 3. All right, so that is Scientology. And I did forget to mention one thing, and that is the Sea Org operation. I do have a video on my channel of somebody who came out named Sam Domingo, and she goes back in and fights Scientology. But get this. What if you signed up for ministry at your church and they had you sign a billion-year contract? No joke. That's the contract for the Sea Org, where they take you out on sea where there are no laws. And they do mean, nasty, controlling, mind-controlling things, abusive things to you. Horrible things happen in the Sea Org, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But if you didn't know, I am talking out of my book, Sharing Jesus with the Cults, available on Amazon as paperback or Kindle, or you can find it where generally you find books for sale. But if you buy it on Amazon, it helps me out and my ministry out a little bit more. And if you would like to set up a Bible study based off of this book, all you have to do is get in touch with me, send me the list of questions from your group and the time frame that you're thinking, your order for books, and the donation, however you're led, and I will in turn send you videos that I will make that are tailored to your questions in the time frame that you chose in the discussion questions, and I'll throw in a free copy for whoever organizes the event as well. So if you're interested in that, leave it in the comments down below or get in touch with me either through Facebook or YouTube. Either way, I would love to talk with you more. If you have any particular questions, write them in the comments down below. I would love to get in touch with you. What is your question of the day? Do you have particular experience with Scientology? I want to hear about it down below, and I'll be checking back to see what you have to say. And of course, like I said, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, share this video with others. Come on, that backstory in and of itself is worth sharing. And until next time, may His power be with you.